All right, guys, and we are live. We are live for the main event. We have Bruce Buffer in the middle of the octagon right now, just getting ready to announce Yuri versus Alex Pereira. Now, how about that co-main event with Tom Aspinall? What did you guys think of that? I just think that it was exactly everything that I had imagined it to be. However, it was quite surprising because guess what? Tom Aspinall did it a whole lot quicker than Sergey Pavlovich. Now, here's the thing. I noticed Pavlovich had a few bags in his eye going into this fight, and it made me wonder perhaps maybe he was a little bit sleepy, perhaps of the jet lag and the time difference that he had to deal with New York as opposed to wherever he was flying from. Okay, maybe not so much because he was already probably in Florida, but still, it was very surprising how Tom Aspinall was to come in here and basically just finish him off this quickly. And then prior to that, you had Mackenzie Dern prior to the co-main event. She was winning the fight up until, of course, Jessica Andrade just came in there with a bomb and laid it on her and finished her off. Now, this is just kind of one of the things you deal with athletes like that. They have knockout power. You can be beating them the whole entire fight, but out of nowhere, they could land a bomb on you. Just like what I mentioned about Deontay Wilder in the Nate Diaz versus Deontay Wilder video content that I made about yesterday. So if you guys want to check that out, I basically said that somebody like Deontay Wilder, he can be outpointed for an entire fight, whether that would be in MMA or boxing. And he is planning on going into MMA, so he still can carry that over. Whatever mistakes that he makes getting outpointed throughout the entire championship fight, as long as he lands that one bomb for 1 minute, 1 second of that whole entire championship fight, he's got the equalizer, what I would call it as a sort of an eraser, something to fix his mistakes. So speaking of which, here we are. We have Alex Pereira and Prohachka now in the middle of the ring, now facing off each other, getting their instructions. Now they are going back to their corner as we start and commence round one. We're going to talk about all the fights that have happened tonight, but we're also going to react to round one, which is about to commence right now in the main event of UFC 295. Here we go. Last fight of the night. 457, 456, 455, 454, 453. They're both in the middle of the octagon, and Prohachka goes for a low kick, misses, switches stances. And just as I predicted, here it is Alex Pereira in a very conventional stance, upright, looking a lot more upright compared to the loose Yuri right now. And of course, the traditional sense of Yuri keeping his hands down in this fight. But of course, that's just one of those things where it's sort of okay to keep your hands down as long as you have a certain amount of distance that they can't reach you. The range that Yuri is fighting at right now with his hands down, it is as if let's say, oh, there we go, an uppercut attempt by Yuri right there. It is as if let's say Alex Pereira was to move forward, he could hit him with some sort of counter shots because there's a nasty low kick by Yuri. Jab on the body. Goes for another low kick. Knocked him down in that first low kick, and now he hit him again with another low kick, and here it is back again with his hands down. Yuri is trying to rush in with his hands down like that. It's quite interesting. Here we go. 331, 330, 329 of the first round, and Alex is moving forward. Another low kick by Alex. The non-lead leg. It's his legs are already hurt. Yuri's already getting some legs busted up. Here's the thing, right? There's not a lot of real good Muay Thai defense on his part. If you really want to analyze this, right? He's sort of like putting a lot of weight into his legs where it's very difficult for him to go and check those kicks if he, let's say, wanted to go for something like that. Here we go. He's attempting a hook right here. Here we go. Now they're back in the center of the cage again, squaring up. Jerry throws a jab, tries to attempt for a high kick, misses. Circle around each other. Another low kick by Alex Behera. Oh, and here comes Jerry shooting for a single leg, pushes Alex right into the fence, and now here comes Alex with a guillotine attempt. Yuri is holding on to that single leg right now, 225, 223, 222 of the first round. Here we go. And he has a guillotine attempt on him as Yuri has a single leg. Now he has that single leg. He completes it. He absolutely completes the single leg. And now here comes Yuri Prohachka in the half guard position. And here comes Alex right now attempting a guillotine choke in the half guard position, which, by the way, you're not going to get a very tight hold of. Now here comes Yuri right here in a half guard position, trying to posture up in the half guard position, perhaps maybe transfer or transition into a full mount. Here it is. Does he have the full mount? No, he's back in full guard position right now, trying to posture up. Not much ground and pound on his part right here. Just seems to try to improve his position, and he did. Now he's back on the full guard position right now. Alex Behera is on the ground trying to get a wizard, trying to wrist control him while he's trying to pull his head down to control him to not posture up. Because for those of you that don't know, if you posture up from a half guard position, which is where he's at again, or a full guard position, you can rain bombs on him. But if you control them from the top head position, it's going to be very difficult for them to try to throw bombs or ground and pounds. And you can even try to attempt your own submissions, whether that would be, let's say, a Kimura lock from this position, or if you're in a full guard position, you can go for a guillotine, or you can try to use your feet to push right into their hips to try to get up and keep the fight standing, which is what Alex Pereira should do right now with 30 seconds left into the first round. And Yuri is still stuck in this half guard position. Well, not stuck, but obviously they're fighting for positions. Here we are. Now they're standing up right up against the fence, and Alex Pereira breaks away. Perfect. Perfect. Now they're back on the feet with just about 13 seconds left into the first round. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Low kick attempt by Alex Pereira. 4, 3, 2, and 1. That is the first round of this championship 205 vacant title, which, by the way, Yuri realistically never lost his belt. You could say that, right? Because obviously he wanted to live by the code of samurai. And what exactly does that mean? Well, what that means exactly is that he doesn't want to, I guess, talk the integrity of the belt. So he knew that he wasn't able to defend it. In comes Jamal Hill taking on the training partner of Alex Pereira, beats him in Brazil, gets an injury of his own. I'm talking about Jamal Hill. And why did he get that injury? Well, for the simple fact that Jamal Hill was playing basketball. And crazy enough, guess what? Floyd Mayweather's dad never wanted him to play basketball for this same exact reason. Because even though it doesn't seem like the most dangerous sport in the world, guess what? It's still dangerous. It's going to affect you from not being able to perform in the fight that you had going on. All right. So here we go. All right. Round two. Here we go. Here we go. Good body shot. He's looking for an uppercut right here. I'm talking about here. He's trying to look for that. He's trying to gauge him with some sort of jab, and then here comes Alex moving forward at him. 417, 416 of the first round. Here we go. Here we go. Now we are at 353, 352 of the second round. A jumping kick by Yuri right here, showing a little bit of his creativity right here. A little side oblique kick. And Alex seems to absolutely not be phased by any of this, simply for the fact that, well, as a seasoned kickboxer and a Glory Hall of Fame kickboxer at that, he's seen all these different styles that Yuri is trying to throw at him. And it's sort of like something he's already seen from the Adesanya, which kind of makes the Adesanya Yuri fight sort of really compelling in that end. There we go. Yeah, surprisingly enough, Sierra is not really doing much on Yuri's hands being down. Oh, here we go. Oh, whoa, wow, they are scrapping right now. Yuri's going for it. He's pressuring him towards the cage right now. Just about halfway done into the second round right now. Oh, he goes for a hook. He hooks Pereira right here, corners him into the cage. The same way that he did to Adesanya, by the way, interestingly enough. Here we go. Now Yuri has him in a clinch position, tied up against the cage with 2:20 left. Now they break away there in the back of the black line of the cage side. Now they're back into the center of the cage as Pierre is walking them down. Now they're back into the center. Ooh, guess what? Here we go. 2 minutes left into the second Wow. So that was absolutely controversial right there. You know what? A great win for Alex Pereira, but guess what? It's just really one of those situations where it's going to be very controversial on that end, right? Because people are just not going to accept that, right? Look, here's the thing. Eventually, guess what? Alex Pereira would have done that anytime during the fight, if not now, at some point. You look at the kind of style that Yuri has going on, but I get it. You know what? It's a title fight. You should allow some sort of yeah, man, some sort of like leeway of some sort, right? Again, another early stoppage by none other than Mark Goddard, a controversial one at that, right? But congratulations to Piera because guess what? He is now the double champ again, making history. He was the Glory double champion, was inducted into the Hall of Fame. He became the middleweight champion after chasing a kickboxing rival who made a great transition into MMA. And now here he is as a double champion with probably the second Donald Trump fight that he had. By the way, if you guys don't remember, when Alex Pereira fought Izzy in front of Donald Trump in Miami, he lost that fight. And not only that, adding insult to injury, Izzy went and basically taunted his kids through some sort of symbolic arrow at them in the same similar fashion that Pereira does after his win, some sort of celebratory. And here we are. So we're gonna break down the whole entire card and the whole. Let's see. Let's take a look at the belt ceremony here for Alex Pereira, and let's react to his speech, what he's going to say, who is he going to challenge, who is he going to call out, what is next for him. Is it just going to be heavyweight? Is he going to go up? Man, that would be interesting. Or does he go and take on some of the big names that they have in the 205 division? Here comes Joe Rogan right now. Yeah, Joe asked him, hey, you had him badly hurt, you got him with some big elbows. Yeah, he's asking him if he was surprised at all if the fight was stopped. A lot of people are. That's going to be the controversy for the week. Hopefully, that doesn't take away from the great win that Alex Pereira had here. And by the way, the moment of winning this whole entire thing. So as we're waiting for the post-fight speech and reacting to it, let's go over some of the things that have happened tonight. Obviously, how about that head kick win by the French Special Forces soldier Benoit Saint Denis, taking on the American veteran Matt Pravola. Got a nice head kick there, and it was just like as soon as he landed that, I knew he was going to be out right there. Right, they started out with a banger in this one. Obviously, there was a few takedowns on Matt's part. It wasn't enough to hold down Benoit. He was able to get that head kick and gets to win. Diego Lopez gets a victory of his own, first round knockout against Pat Sabatini to open the card. The preliminary cards, you had Steve Erzeg, all the way from Australia, taking on Alexander Costa, gets a decision in that one. 1 out of 8 of his takedowns, 1 out of 6 for Alejandro Costa. 64% of his strikes, 65 for Costa, and significant strikes was just slightly higher on Steve Erzeg's part with his submission attempt, wins him the fight. Lupita Gutierrez gets a decision win over Tabitha Ricci, gets 4 fights and 4 wins in the entire year. First woman to ever do that. Mateus Rebecki gets a first round submission over Roosevelt Roberts, literally an armbar. And the way that you usually see armbars slapped on someone, you just don't see it if you're in a certain angle. So I was like, hey, what's going on here? He tapped and right there. Just like with this fight, right? You didn't expect that this fight was going to be stopped as early as it did. But guess what? Guess who was the referee of this fight? None other than Colby Covington's favorite referee, which is who? Mark Goddard. And here we are. Here's the results of it. So what else? We had Nazim Zadikov with a draw against Borches, which was a real great fight, real close in the way that they had it. Obviously, Nazim had more of the takedowns, but the significant strikes that Borshev had was close enough to really keep him close in his fight, and it ended up becoming a draw as it did. Now, in the early prelims, yeah, how about Joshua Van? What a great Muay Thai set of skills that he has going up against Kevin Borjas, who, by the way, has real great footwork, right? One of the things that I noticed about this Josh Van versus Kevin Borjas fight was that Borjas was quite a good mover, great footwork, great side to side movement. And you know how I love that. By the way, check out my training video that I did today. I did a little workout training session. I just decided to go record that and share it on my page. Go and give it a like. And oh, here it is. Now he's calling out Jamal Hill, or they got Jamal Hill in the split screen right now. Oh yeah, and he just called out Izzy for the trilogy. That would be interesting. Now, how about the fact that Izzy could possibly go and move up to 205, right? Maybe even around UFC 300. Now, how great would that be if they had a quadrilogy? I mean, yeah, it's sort of a quadrilogy, but then they fought way more times in that, which sort of makes this fight really fascinating in that, right? So, what else was up? But yeah, with the Joshua Van fight, his Muay Thai was so good that he was able to neutralize Kevin Borja's elusive fighting style. And then John Castaneda was able to get a decision over Kang Kung Ho. And Dennis Bazooka loses to a TKO against Jamal Emmers. By the way, first round knockout, which was quite surprising. And it was crazy because Jamal was talking about how he had a hard road coming up to here. It was really interesting how his coach was bigging him up after the fight. It was great to see just a whole great positivity out of that. And now we are reacting to the main event and the co-main event of the fight. We're now listening to Yuri on the mic. Yeah, so Yuri is talking about how he feels he has to just go back on the drawing board and work on what it is that he needed to work on, which, by the way, going into the fight, I said that this is a guy that constantly puts his hands down, and it was to his own detriment. Now, look, here's the thing. A style like that, it does work. You see Michael Venom Page, he fights like that. There's very few guys out there that really have a number on MVP, yet he keeps his hands down all the time. But once again, he's got fast feet. He's constantly on the move. He's constantly on the bounce. So it is a little bit harder to hit him. But with Yuri, it's sort of an elusive style that is very sloppy defensively, which, again, this is the flaw of that type of style. So here's something interesting I think is worth pointing out, right? Here comes Alex Pereira, right? He's not a real kickboxer, right? I'm sorry, he's not a real MMA fighter. He's more of a kickboxer, is what I meant to say. He comes into MMA and dominates this whole entire sport. Now becomes a double champion. Well, not a double champion, but more like winning two championships in the UFC, which is impressive in and of itself. I mean, obviously, it's not Conor McGregor like level. It's not DC level where he was holding two belts at the same time. But still, for him to accomplish this tonight, I think is telling in a couple of things. Number one, it tells you that anybody can really come into MMA and dominate so long as you have a certain set of skills, which is what he has, or like let's say if you're a Greg Hardy type of athlete, you can just come in here and pick up the sport real quickly. So Alex Pereira sort of has both of that. He has natural ability, which makes him very dangerous. I mean, obviously, you look at the way that he's built, his whole skeleton and his whole muscular system, it's made for war, right? He's like made out of a carved wood of some kind of way. So on top of that, he's got a high experience in kickboxing. And then here he is. He basically came in here and exposed the entire sport. Now, leading up into the Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou fight, Tyson Fury had some of us believe that he could transition into MMA and win a world title, especially beat Francis Ngannou. Now, after the boxing match, maybe we sort of put the brakes on that a little bit, right? But the reality is that heavyweight MMA or light heavyweight MMA, I swear to you, if you have enough athleticism, you're going to beat the majority of these guys. This is why I really think that the higher the weight class is, I think there's a certain skill discrepancy that you really have to be honest about. Now, why is that? Well, look, you just got to understand the big men are sloppy. There's just no way around that. The smaller guy, and when you're talking about, like, let's say the smallest of them all, and maybe even the best of them all, which is none other than, let's say, Demetrius Johnson, this guy doesn't make any mistakes. Okay, he's constantly fast. He looks athletic and he's light, so it's easy to move around. Whereas with the bigger guys, they're just naturally going to look sloppy. There's no way around that. There's nothing that you can do about that, unless, of course, you have this insane athletic ability that you're born with, like Tyson Fury, maybe even Tom Aspinall. But then here's the thing with Tom Aspinall that you got to ask yourself, right? Do you feel that maybe with Tom Aspinall, he's able to do what he does because of the fact that he's had this vast experience of training with smaller guys? So, because you're training with these smaller guys, there's a certain level of speed that you have to adapt to. Whereas when you're with the heavyweights, I got to be honest with you. Anybody that's been in sparring sessions where you're switching up partners, let's say maybe you're doing 7 or 8 rounds, right? So you're probably going to see 8 or 7 different partners in a sparring room in an MMA gym, right? 5 minutes pass, you go on to the next guy. 5 minutes passes after that, you go on to the next guy. Now you're in the third round. I got to tell you, when you're going into the later rounds, and this is speaking from experience, the bigger guys are the easiest to deal with in the later rounds because then they become slower. They become a lot more labored in their shots. So it becomes a lot easier to pick them apart. It becomes a lot easier to exploit them in counter shots or anything you want to do. Use some sort of cardio advantage that, let's say, they're sort of lacking in that particular practice in that moment of time. You can easily take them down. It's not that hard. The resistance isn't there. So I got to tell you, it's a lot harder to deal with, let's say, a guy who's a smaller weight class fighter, right? And you're, let's say, in the sixth round of your training session that you're cycling with partners and whatnot, right? So now you're taking on the smaller guy. He's still fresh. He's still in there. He's still moving around. He's still bopping his head up and down. He's still switching his stances. He's still going for single leg attacks, double leg attacks on you. And there's nothing that you can do about it because now you're tired. Man, I got to tell you, the smaller guys are a lot more dangerous in that. So, again, it is no wonder why Alex Pereira, who is a man from a different discipline, can literally come in here and win 2 belts in this short amount of a time span in his career. So, who's the bigger winner tonight? Obviously, when it comes to Pereira and Tom Aspinall, this was a real great accomplishment in their part. But in all honesty, it just seems like the accomplishment here is a lot higher for Pereira. And when it comes for Tom Aspinall, it just seems like, well, this is sort of, how do I say this? More of the beginning of his championship run to greatness. Now, somebody said that Tom Aspinall could possibly go on to become the greatest heavyweight of all time. I believe Michael Bisping said that. Of course, Michael Bisping would say that. Michael Bisping is literally the P. Diddy of British MMA, always all on the videos, talking. That's me trying to do my best Suge Knight impression when I'm basically comparing Michael Bisping to P. Diddy. But he said this, and there's some truth to this, right? What Michael Bisping said about Tom Aspinall, there's some truth that he could possibly be the greatest heavyweight right now and just a dark horse in this particular moment of time because we're just captivated by Jones in this, I guess, biasness to the present time. And Jones being that guy, the number one guy in the world today. But you look at Tom Aspinall, he can really give problems to John Jones. And you know what? The fact that he started training with heavyweights now, you look at the guys that were in his corner. One of them was Phil DeFries, who is a heavyweight champion at KSW, a Polish organization. And among other UK heavyweights that he has in his ranks, I believe he's got one guy named Mick who now fights in the UFC who's an undefeated heavyweight. So he's got a lot of good training partners with him. And then on top of that, he trains with Tyson Fury. So that has to do some good for Tom Aspinall. Sorry about that. So, as I was saying before, I had gotten cut off there for a little bit. Yeah, I was saying that Tom Aspinall's a bad stylistic matchup for John Jones. A very bad matchup. He's fast. He's got the height. Oh, and I was saying before it got cut off a little bit that the height discrepancy or the reach discrepancy isn't really that much when you have the speed and the height with the compensation that Tom Aspinall can bring against John Jones. Because, yes, he's got 78, and that's just being generous. Obviously, I said 79 earlier, but 78 is probably more of the accurate reach for Tom Aspinall. But yet, honestly, it's still enough to outspeed and outclass John Jones on the feet. And by the way, boxing isn't really his strongest suit. And guess who Tom Aspinall trains with? None other than the greatest boxer of this generation. And by the way, how about that? How about the United Kingdom, right? Having all the best heavyweights in the entire world right now. What do you got to say about that, right? What does that say about UK combat sports having all the best heavyweights in the world? What do you guys think about that? I think that's quite fascinating. That sorry about that. Yeah, I think it's quite fascinating. They have the best heavyweights in the world right now because obviously for a long time it was America. We had the best heavyweights in boxing and maybe even in MMA, but now it's a different world, right? The world is becoming a lot more globalized, and it's not just about America anymore. It's not just about Brazil. It's not just about Japan, which are pretty much the top three countries of the original MMA, right? Well, now you have the likes of England. You have the likes of Jiri Prochazka fighting out of Czech Republic, which didn't have the biggest MMA following in the beginning of its inception. And we're talking about from the beginning of time when the UFC started, which was 30 years ago. And now here we are. How about this? A 30-year anniversary for the UFC, right? Now, this is quite fascinating because you got to think about this, right? The evolution of the sport. Now, if you guys remember in UFC 1, there was this guy named Pat Smith who was a kickboxer. Now, what is interesting about him? A guy like that would not survive in today's world of MMA, or does he? Because guess who is the living proof of Pat Smith in the modern MMA version of today, which is none other than Alex Pereira. But is that because Alex Pereira is a lot more well-rounded than, let's say, the original UFC fighter like Pat Smith, who fought in UFC 1? Is he a lot more well-rounded? Yeah, he's absolutely more well-rounded. On top of that, you got to take into consideration that he trains with Glover Teixeira and his grappling skills are going to be up there just based on that, or at least damn near improving, which is something really important to have when you're trying to be the world champion. And now he's the double champion. Now, look, here's some other debates that people are going to have, right? Because now Pereira is going to be added into this debate as literally one of the greatest of all times. So now that Pereira is in this situation of being the greatest of all time, what is better? Is it better that you went out there and you fought guys, you lost, and then you came back and won again? Because guess what? This is very Randy Couture-esque if you really think about it. Randy Couture has had some big fights in the 205 division, won the belt, lost the belt, came up at heavyweight, won the belt, lost the belt, and well, that's quite a legendary career. He was a double champion, but he won and lost. And then McGregor, you could say the same thing. He had big wins, but then he had bigger losses because of taking bigger risks. But then you have somebody like Khabib, who, quite honestly, one of the biggest criticisms that he has is that, hey, you don't go out there and you take any risk. Well, now you have the likes of Alex Pereira. He's sort of in this situation where, well, you know what? He was coming off of a loss from Izzy, right? But he's already wins over Izzy, but he just lost the last time he fought Izzy, and then Izzy lost to a guy that Alex Pereira beat. You see where I'm going with this? It's like MMA math can't work, which is the reason why MMA is such a compelling sport in the way that it is. So that's something that you really have to take into consideration. What's going on here? So let's react to Dana White. we're reacting to Dana White in a press conference right now. So we're going to react to this because Dana White's press conferences, they are literally like podcast content in and of its own. So let's see what he says live. Oh, yeah. Dana White says that everybody's getting paid tonight. Again, yeah, he's right. It was one of those unexpected events that people really didn't give a lot of credit to. Yeah, we're reacting to Dana White's live press conference right now. Yeah, so Dana White sort of shuts down the idea of him being an all-time great, but this is quite an accomplishment for Pajera in that end, right? Hold on, that feed is going out. I'm going to go to a different feed with Dana White right now. Let's see. Let's go to MMAfighting.com. By the way, if MMA Fighting is watching this, hey man, offer me a job. If not, then guys, don't forget to like and subscribe so we can dominate the MMA space together. How about that? But yeah, MMA Fighting is one of my favorite channels. Let me know what you guys' favorite MMA channel is as we react to Dana White's presser right now. Yeah, oh, he's saying that John Jones is in physical therapy right now. Allegedly, and then he's laughing about it. Yeah, so he says John Jones is in a physical therapy right now. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. We'll see what happens. Took this fight on short notice. Obviously, looked great. Yeah, Tom Aspinall did take this fight on short notice, which, by the way, is Michael Bisping-esque if you really think about it, right? I mean, just like what Michael Bisping did. Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, it's our 30th. I was thinking about this earlier. The corruption that kept us out of New York City for so long, for us to come in here in just 7 years. You think about this historic arena, this incredible city, and for us to be number 1, 2, and 3 all time. You couldn't really button up with them. Yeah, we are reacting to Dana White's live presser right now. That like 6-inch left hook that he had, short little, and I kind of thought of that when punch kind, that little short hook on Erie. It was like that kind of power is rare, and you don't see that very often. Do you think that that's what separates him kind of from the rest of the pack? Yeah, and what's crazy too is like the first leg kick hurt him. He knew it. He kept kicking that leg, and that leg was going to be a problem. Yeah, that was a real good job on Alex Pereira to recognize that, right? Because as I was saying while the fight was going on and reacting to it, that Jerry was sort of really putting a lot of weight on his leg, right? Just really sitting down on it rather than just like having a traditional Muay Thai stance of, let's say, just not putting a lot of weight into his knees and legs, which makes it susceptible and easy to really kick off. And well, you feel it more with the weight that you put in there. But the more weight that you put behind your legs, the more power that you have when you throw your shots. So it's kind of a give and take situation. So if you look at them coming from one style and being able to make the transition and do as well as they've done here, yes, Dana White is saying right now that it's interesting how Pereira and Adesanya were able to come in here with just one style and dominate the whole entire sport, which, by the way, is quite interesting and really contrasting to the ethos of, let's say, Royce Gracie, who dominated the entire space of MMA, at least in its early inception, which is using jiu-jitsu. But you still believe in guys taking that opportunity, right? In doing what Tom did tonight. Yeah, 100%. I mean, when you get to that level, I mean, Not anymore. Obviously, Islam kicked his head off to get that title as the number one pound for pound guy in the world. How about that? Aspinall was on vacation while he got a call for this fight. Yeah, guys, we're going to react to all the press conference participants tonight. Obviously, Dana White is on right now. I'm reacting to him, and we were going to continue the stream until everybody is finished with their presser tonight. I'm going to react to every single one of them and break down the stories that are involved in this fight. Now, what did you guys think? Was that an early stoppage by Mark Goddard to just give it up for Pereira like that easily? Obviously, you guys know Mark Goddard, the referee, is always in the center of controversies when it comes to early stoppages. But more on this presser right here with Dana White.
That's the fight they want. It's the fight that makes sense. It's the fight that should happen.
But by the way, I believe UFC 300 is already signed with Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. If anybody has true confirmation on that, don't forget to write on the comments below. Let me know what you guys think of that. I might make a separate video on that. I believe after I do this live, I may do a video regarding Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler while also recapping UFC 295, which I don't know if I really need to, right? To kind of move on from this after this stream, but we'll see. More on with Dana White right now as we're reacting to Dana White in the live presser right now.
Now you got 2 champions from the UK. Is there a chance we get a pay-per-view back there next year? Yeah. We're going to be going all kinds next year.
So yeah, this win with Tom Aspinall definitely is going to open up the UK market for sure. And Dana White will surely love that for the fact that they are still going to have a few more London shows to do. But I don't know how that's going to work out because usually they go in London in March, but this year they may go to Saudi Arabia. And then the March card for the O'Malley fight, well, we don't know if that's going to be in Saudi Arabia or elsewhere, but that'll be interesting to see where the rest of these fights go. Let's listen in some more and see if we can find some information.
I know you gave him a bonus, but what do you think of Benoit Saint-Denis as a talent? A lot of people online are already labeling him as.
Now they're asking him about Benoit Saint-Denis. How about his fight tonight, right? That was a great head kick he had over Matt Pravella.
So early into his career. So what do you make of him as a talent moving forward? Yeah, I mean, obviously tonight was a big night for him. Looked great. He's one of the hottest prospects in Europe right now, period. So,
yeah, and I believe Benoit Saint-Denis called out Islam Makhachev tonight. Now, that's quite a great fight, honestly, if you really think about it, because imagine the storyline with Benoit Saint-Denis and Islam. I think there's some money in that. For one, you got to understand there's a huge right-wing presence going in France, right? And by the way, anti-Islamic sentiment. So you have to imagine just how big that would be if, let's say, they were to set up Benoit Saint-Denis and Islam. But man, Benoit Saint-Denis has a lot of work to do in order to make that fight happen. But of course, something to look out for in the future. More on Dana White as we react to him right now.
she's bummed out about a month off. That's awesome. Listen, those type of people are right up my alley. I love that stuff. And when you see fighters who have that mentality and that's how they are, it's like Hamza when he burst onto the scene.
Yeah, so Dana White is saying that he loves guys that are willing to go turn around and fight straight away. Well, I tell you what, this is one of the complaints that Conor McGregor has, right? He says that for the past couple of years, they've been really just hindering him from stepping in and getting active competition. But then again, you're in Conor McGregor's level. It's sort of hard to stay active, isn't it? Because they have to build an entire card and an event around you, which takes months and maybe even a couple of days to prepare, even before the prior months of the fight, and just the entire accommodations that you have to build around it. So it's kind of a gift and a curse in Conor McGregor's situation, isn't it?
Uh, him and Israel both coming from one style, and coming in here and accomplishing what they've accomplished. I mean, that stuff that
Yeah, 30-year anniversary, and then you have guys with one style coming in here and dominating, right? With Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya. But at the same time, you're not really seeing the likes of Damian Maya or Ben Askren anymore, are you? On the grappling side, that is. Even in the Khabib aspect of fighting, you have someone like Islam Makhachev, Omar Nurmagomedov, and Usman Nurmagomedov, who seems to be the higher elevation and evolution of that particular Dagestani style. Just vastly improved in the striking and, well, the continuation of their wrestling practice as a foundation of what helps them win their entire MMA game.
tell people that nobody walks into a UFC event live and then walks out and says, "Yeah, I don't ever want to see one of these again." And
Yeah, he's right. He's right. Every event is always exciting.
definitely want to see one. And you mentioned yesterday in your scrum that the Sphere, the show there, is a done deal, but you didn't really elaborate or something anymore. You can tell us on timeline, is it still going to be Mexican Independence Day? Or Mexican Independence Day. We are booked for the Sphere, and we're already working on.
Okay, so they have a card for Mexican Independence Day, according to Dana White right now. Let's see who the fights are going to be in that card.
Can't wait to dive into this thing. We're reaching out as I get more of the pieces of the puzzle put together. I'll let you guys know as it comes along. But I'm super excited about this. I love challenges. Everybody keeps saying to me, "I don't understand how you're going to put the octagon in there. I don't understand how you're going to do this. I don't understand how you're going to do that."
Wait, so they're planning on holding a UFC event in the Sphere of Las Vegas. For those of you that are Las Vegas residents or have been out there, write in the comments below and let me know what you guys think of that, if you've experienced or seen that part of Vegas, and how that will correlate in how this event is going to go and how they're going to plan it.
Is there anything you can tell us about Conor? What did the show? He said that it's
Yeah, so they asked Dana White about a stadium show in the UK, and I thought that was quite interesting. I'm going to tell you why, right? Because look, here's the thing about a UK show with a stadium. Dana White doesn't like it only because, well, there's a lot of unpredictabilities that are going to be involved. For one, some of the unpredictabilities that are involved in that is the fact that there's going to be a rain. That's a possibility. If you guys remember, Anthony Joshua was fighting in the middle of the rain, I believe, in his Franklin fight, or was it his Franklin fight, or was it the fight with Hellenius? It was one of those fights, but yeah, that's just the unpredictability that you're going to get. And no, I believe that was an Usyk card. No, but that was in Poland though. So, okay, either way, it was a stadium fight, and Dana White is saying no to a stadium fight because one of the journalists right now in the live post press conference asked, "Are you guys going to do a stadium fight in England?" And yeah, Dana White basically said, "Well, we can think about it, but." The O2 Arena has more of an intimate feel to it, similar to the MGM Grand. If you guys remember the MGM Grand from back in the days, so yeah, they're still asking Dana some questions right now. Yeah, so now they're asking Dana White about boxing because obviously he promoted a fight this week with Callum Walsh. Now, by the way, shout out to everybody that joined me on the live with the Callum Walsh fight. I did a live reaction to that during this week. It hit like 1K in one day. So thank you to all the fans that came out and reacted that with me, whether they were MMA people or boxing people or any of those. Yeah, thank you for sharing that with me and giving me all the views for that Callum Walsh fight. So, yeah, they're asking Dana White about that right now. And some of the criticisms that Dana White has had over time is the slap league that he's promoting, right? Whereas, like, he has this opportunity to, I guess, delve himself into boxing. Well, guess what, guys? Here it is. He's doing that. I guess he's just doing that with Callum Walsh because Callum's the type of kid that's willing to take on the top competitions and is not willing to take on these pitter patter fights. And guess what? That fight that I saw Thursday in that boxing match, I mean, it was quite exciting. That guy, Villarreal, almost knocked out Callum, and that's the kind of fights that Callum is going to be in. So it's going to be quite interesting, you know. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how his career unfolds. But so far, I like what I see out of Callum Walsh. I sort of see why Dana is taking him on simply because he's the type of guy that sort of falls into the ethos of MMA and the UFC altogether, which is the best fighting the best. And that's what Callum is offering you on the boxing side. So, more on the reaction that we have with Dana White in the presser right now. So, it's getting some technical difficulties on that on their end as I'm watching their feed right now on MMA fighting. Oh yeah, and Triple H was there at the fight as well. Now, was he there in NYC tonight? How about Donald Trump being at the fights tonight, right? I mean, that's always good. Okay. So more on Dana White right now.
In the 12 years since John Jones claimed the light heavyweight title, you've seen many a prospect who's been touted as the potential man to beat him. Now, I know there's still a lot that has to happen in terms of John and Stipe, but if John doesn't stick around after that, how do you rate performances?
Let's see.
It was breaking up a little bit with Dana White here.
Looks when he, you know, who's is so good. I mean, you can doubt him, you can this, you that, you not like him. The guy never lost a fight. moved up to heavyweight, made it look really easy. You know, I don't know the answer to that. You got to see how everything sort of plays out.
And how big do you think it is now? We've obviously previously had two UK champions in Leon Edwards and Michael Bisping.
Oh, that feed from MMA Fighting went out. Let's look at the MMA Junkie version of that so we can get a live reaction of Dana
Everybody
White.
around him claims that he's that good, and he's a great guy, great personality. It's a home run.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you.
Dana, right down the middle here, over here. So Tom was talking to us earlier this week about the heavyweight division. He sees kind of a new golden age coming, a new golden age for heavyweight.
Okay, this is a good question. They're asking about Tom Aspinall saying there's a golden age of heavyweight MMA right now. This is a good question.
What's your take on his thoughts on that?
I don't understand the question.
What do you see as far as the heavyweight division right now? Like in the future, like in the next 5 to 10 years kind of thing? Do you see different heavyweights now than maybe we saw in past generations?
Well, you're gonna. Yeah, I mean, if that's not the case, we're in trouble. The sport keeps evolving, the athletes keep evolving, and
yeah, how interesting, right? This is the first time the UK has had two champions, undisputed champions in the UFC at the same time. Now that's going to be great for TNT Sports because obviously their whole entire sort of goal or motivation is to feature British fighters, whether it's from the prelims or in the main event. And now they have two big main event stars in Leon Edwards and Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do yet. I talked about that earlier. We'll see what happens. You know what I mean? Like I said, he's got some money, and I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question yet.
You guys love to come to the Garden. Obviously, November is your time of the year. Have you guys ever considered, or are you considering maybe 2 times in the coming years at all?
Yeah. The thing is too, when you come to the Garden, you want to bring your A game. You want to bring the right fight. We'll probably be back the end of next year, and we'll be 1, 2, 3, and 4.
You guys have
okay, so they're planning on coming back
over the next
to MSG. Yeah, and Dana White's right about that. They definitely do have to bring their A game every time they're in New York. Obviously, the first time they came in there, they had to do Alvarez and Conor McGregor, which made it big. And on top of that, they had an even bigger undercard and co-main event to go along with it. So tonight, guess what? The UFC proved exactly what it is that it is able to do when it comes to crisis management. Because obviously, Stipe and John Jones was a big name that brought Donald Trump out here. I mean, let's be honest, Donald Trump didn't come out here to see Tom Aspinall or Sergey Pavlovich, right? He came out here to see the big dogs, the big names, which is who? Stipe Miocic and John Jones. Well, they weren't here tonight. And then on top of that, the people that were here were charged of expensive tickets to which they didn't really see what they got to want to see originally. But again, the crisis management skills of the UFC comes into play when they bring in these 2 top heavyweights and creates an even bigger card that we would have imagined based on that. So more on Dana White right here.
Is that still the plan going forward to have that rematch? And if so, when would that be?
Eventually, but Volkanovski. You talking about Volkanovski? Yeah.
Chevron.
Yeah, no, we don't have anything right now. Maybe.
They're asking about possible matchups for Islam Makhachev. Yeah, what about that? Write on the comment section below what you guys think. What Islam Makhachev's next fight is. It's quite unclear what is, right? I mean, obviously, Saint Denis called him out tonight. I told you guys about a great storyline that could go into that. Rewind back if you guys want to check that out. Obviously, there's a lot of political implications in that, being that France has some sort of a huge right-wing movement that stems from an anti-Islamic perspective, which, by the way, would make a great storyline with Islam. And then, obviously, Benoit Saint-Denis is a former French special forces deployed to a lot of Muslim countries. Here he is fighting a top Muslim superstar, which is going to be very interesting if they make that fight happen. But he's just not in the rankings, so it's not a possibility. What fight are they talking about here with Dana White?
It's done. He doesn't fight here anymore. I'm not interested.
So no fights with the PFL just in general.
Should I?
Possible.
We got 1, 2, and 3. They can't sell a fucking gate. Oh, talk to me.
Dana,
It's a stupid question, but go ahead. Talk to me. Why would I do that? I tried to make the fight here. They didn't want to do it, but I should co-promote with the you know with like a Bellator or a PFL. But why should I do that? Talk to me.
I guess it's just, I guess, a partnership with ESPN or anything like that. Just in general.
Okay, that got shot down real quick. So for all of you those that are asking questions about PFL and UFC co-promoting, Dana just answered it for you right now.
ESPN?
It's a partnership, yes.
He's like, well, you guys are with ESPN. And then Dana's looking at them right now in this smirky smile like, so what?
The dumb question of the night.
One of the dumb questions of the night. Yeah, he shot that down real quick. Yeah. Yeah, he wants no parts of that question. He's letting you know straight up what he feels about it.
Training for an MMA fight, but he's still super into the UFC. He wants to come back and compete. What's it like having somebody like Mark be into the UFC? He was into this fight tonight. He was into the Volkanovski fight. What's it like having somebody with his influence be into the UFC?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of influential people that are into the UFC, and it's always a good thing. I mean, it's never a bad thing. But yes, Zuckerberg is obsessed. I mean, he's so obsessed he blew his ACL out training like a maniac. But yeah, it's awesome. I have a very good relationship with Zuckerberg. He loves the sport, and yes, the answer is yes. Having somebody like Mark Zuckerberg love the sport is incredible.
Dana,
Obviously, a Mark Zuckerberg question. Not much you can really get out of that for this event.
They heard Alex say Sonya come to Daddy and they want to see that fight again. Just what would you say to someone that's really hoping to see those two get in the octagon?
Listen, anything is possible. I mean, Alex moved up a weight class. I don't see Izzy moving up a weight class,
but he did move up a weight class, Dana, and failed against Jan Blachowicz.
I don't know the answer to that question yet. We'll see when Izzy comes back what he wants to do.
So Dana sort of shots down the question of possibly a rematch with Izzy and Pereira.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that we would never do it.
Yeah, because then you still have the Dricus fight, and even if that's not for the title, it's still compelling for Izzy and Dricus to get it on.
The fight nights, do you think will be on the road and not in the Apex?
What's the question?
What percentage of fight nights in 2024 will be on the road and not at Apex?
I don't know. You hate the Apex?
No, I just like the road.
Yeah, we're reacting to live Dana right now.
740 The Fan out of Fargo, North Dakota.
He writes for who?
North Dakota. 740 the fan?
Yes,
740 The Fan, North Dakota.
yes.
What's your name, sir?
Josh Linus.
You better be at every fucking fight night
I would love to be.
that happens next year.
I would love to be.
Okay.
On the road, I'll be there.
No matter where we do a fight night, you better be there.
Sounds good.
Deal.
Dana,
Yeah.
Alex Pereira won 2 belts.
One of the reporters asked, are you guys going to be on the road for the fight night? That's going to be good. I've always liked the fight nights being on the road. Before the Apex, we never really noticed that they were on the road a lot, and we sort of took that for granted. And now that they throw it in the Apex a lot, now it's just like we're yearning for them to get on the road, like these Nashville shows that they did. How about that North Carolina show where Ian Gary fought Rodriguez? Shows like that, right? Or back in the days, they had a Macau card with Kung Lee versus Michael Bisping, and we got to see that in the morning. So stuff like that. The Gustafson's fight with Glover Teixeira in Sweden, those fight nights on the road that the reporter was asking about more on Dana right here.
Strongly believes there's a threshold, glass ceiling with the top 5 in the lightweight division. He wants to break it. On the team, we think he's probably a fight away from breaking to that top 5. Some think it's 2, so I want you to cut it out. How far is he away from fighting the likes of Justin Gaethje or Dustin Poirier, BSD, Benoit Saint-Denis?
Yeah, Benoit thinks he could break into the top 5.
They're asking if Benoit Saint-Denis can break into the top 5. I mean, yeah, that's interesting, right? Like I said, he's a great matchup for Islam Makhachev. I told you guys there's a great storyline behind that. Literally a clash of civilizations type.
To ask in this room. All the people in this room make that decision, not me. And he just beat Frivola, who's ranked number 14. So you beat 14. Maybe if the media thinks that he's, he beat 14 easily. He made it look easy. Maybe he goes to 10 on Tuesday. I don't. I mean, that would be a big jump. But maybe he goes to 10.
So Benoit Saint-Denis beat a guy who's number 14. He was unranked before this fight. Dana's saying that he could possibly make top 10 by Tuesday. So that's interesting to know.
Number 2 or number 3.
Right.
All right. So obviously, we just came from watching Dana White and reacting to his presser. So, yeah, real interesting, right? A couple of takes that we got from Dana White as we're waiting for the next person to step into the presser. He mentions that he shot down a crossover deal with PFL. They tried to make it with Francis while he was there in the UFC. To no avail, they were able to do that. So he has no interest in doing that. So that is the answer for all those that have this insane fantasy of seeing a PFL and a UFC co-promotion with Francis Ngannou. And Dana White shot that down real quickly. Also, another takeaway we could get out of this is Benoit Saint-Denis now going into the top 15 or maybe even the top 10 of the 155 division. Now, he called out some big names, and I think that's really interesting to sort of point out because obviously, if you get enough attention in this game, then you're going to get a whole lot further than the guys that just don't talk. I mean, you ask Bilal Muhammad how that worked out for them on their way to the top, or the Marvin Hagler MMA version of Leon Edwards, right? And how that went for him, just not putting himself out there trying to get noticed and whatnot. This is the consequences of it. So Benoit Saint Denis had a real great call out. It was a great timing because he fought in Veterans Day while he was a former French Special Forces member fighting an American former Armed Forces member and getting a win right in front of Donald Trump. So that just does a lot of good for his notoriety and his marketing, that he can try to catapult himself and separate himself from the different names. Obviously, he's already got a great storyline in and of itself, right? I mean, just being a former French serviceman in and of itself and having all these different adventures and missions that he's had around the world. That alone, I'm sure, makes him an intriguing person. But now he's got knockouts. Now he's got great call outs. Now he's starting to get a little bit better in English. So I think that's some of the takeaways that we can take from this. What else did Dana White mention here? Obviously, he mentioned about John Jones being in physical therapy. Now, what is this going to do for John Jones as the current undisputed champion right now with Tom Aspinall as the interim? Well, I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you in just a little bit while we're waiting for is there a next guy coming up? Okay. So while we're waiting for the next guy to come, I'll just tell you this right now, right? What you got going on with John Jones is a possible retirement in the making, if not a long drawn injury that is going to put him out of commission, to where we're going to have a debate about whether he's going to either be stripped or how we're going to promote Tom Aspinall as the undisputed champion when he won it as an interim champion. So those are some of the questions we have to ask, right? And then how does that legitimize Tom Aspinall if he's in a situation where he doesn't beat the man? By the way, some of the things that the UFC hates doing is giving paper champions the undisputed belt when the real lineal champion walked away. This is one thing the UFC hates more than anything. They had to do this with George St. Pierre after he beat Johnny Hendricks. They had to bring Johnny Hendricks in there and fight Robbie Lawler, wins that fight. And then they had to market him as the real undisputed champion. But here's the thing, right? Everybody leaves at some point. And when they leave, it's sort of this situation where, you know what? Max Holloway said it best, right? When he became the featherweight champion, he coined it like this: I'm the 2016 145 champion, and McGregor is the 2014, 2015 145 champion. So he adds a year and a significance to the time that they won that belt, right? So this talk of lineal or the guy who was the guy who held the belt or this and that, it almost really means nothing if you really think about it in the long run, right? Because yes, there are some guys that are going to leave as champion, like Khabib. He left as champion, like Joe Calzaghe in boxing. He left as champion. Floyd Mayweather left as champion. Arthur Beterbiev in boxing is probably going to leave as champion. Islam Makhachev would probably leave as champion. And maybe even Tyson Fury, if he wins his fight, he's going to leave as champion. Very few guys are able to do that. But when they do, you still have to come up with the champion. The same thing with Lennox Lewis. He retired as the undisputed champion. But then later on, you had to go and find who was going to be the new guy. Now, okay, after that exciting era of a guy like Lennox Lewis, who is the undisputed champion, then you will always have the likes of Vladimir Klitschko, which, by the way, to a lot of people, they found that time frame to be one of the most boring times of boxing. Now, why is that? Because let's face it, the venues that Vladimir Klitschko took all these places were in Germany, right? Not the most exciting places. And obviously, there's a growing boxing crowd and a boxing demographics out there. But hey, man, it's not like boxing in England where they sing Sweet Caroline before the main event. It's not like the bright lights of Vegas or MSG or all the other big venues in the United States of America, or maybe even in the Middle East with Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and in recent times, Saudi Arabia. Sure, it's not like that, but still, it just wasn't the most compelling market for, let's say, the Western Hemisphere of the United States and England to really get excited about a boxing champion named Vitaly and Vladimir Klitschko. So it became somewhat of a boring era in a time frame that had to be followed by Lennox Lewis. So you could sort of say that same thing with MMA right now. Eventually, John Jones is going to be gone. He's going to be gone either from retirement, or he's going to be gone by actually having the arrogance to face Tom Aspinall and not realizing he is the worst possible matchup for him and ruin his legacy in a single night. Or he could just leave, have his whole entire thing intact, and not have to worry about losing his legacy to these tough matchups. Because I got to tell you, even if Sergey Pavlovich was to be here tonight against John Jones, well, to be honest with you, I was going to say that Pavlovich was going to give John Jones a hard fight. After what I saw with Tom Aspinall tonight, maybe not so. Now, what about with Tom Aspinall? What are some things that I've noticed about him? He is a vastly improved fighter than before. When he came into the UFC, the way that I looked at Tom Aspinall, I said, all right, you know what? This is a skilled fighter. He obviously has all the jiu-jitsu in his back pocket, but he didn't strike me as, well, how do I say this, as some sort of like an unstoppable athlete or some sort of hyper athletic specimen of a thing, like, let's say, Brock Lesnar. He didn't strike me as that. Eventually, as time is going on right now, he's sort of striking me as that because of these different training regimens that he's taking, the different training partners that he's implementing. And then on top of that, the different strategies that he's just implementing for his career overall. Right? So he's becoming a lot more evolved and he's coming into his prime. Look, is it safe to say that Tom Aspinall is probably the most improved fighter in the history of the UFC in the current moment of time, if not ever? Can we say that? Who can we say is one of the most improved fighters? Guys that were coming off of these losing streaks, or all of a sudden they become a champion. Maybe Robbie Lawler is one example of that. Jorge Masvidal is another example of that. But Tom Aspinall seems to be a guy that was always destined for greatness at one point or another. I mean, the guy was trained by his father, right? This is a guy that's trained since he was a kid. Now, look, we always talk about Ngannou, right? How he came into the sport very late, but yet he's a very athletic guy that was able to adapt to this new sport that he was going to be in. Whereas the contrasting opposite of that are the likes of Tom Aspinall, who, by the way, started when he was a kid, right? This is the complete contrasting view of how we look at Francis Ngannou as this guy that just picked up this sport, came in here and started kicking everybody's butt. Whereas with Tom Aspinall, it was like as if he was groomed for this. He didn't grow up in the hard mines of Cameroon or anything like that. He had a father who was very present in his life that trained him and got him to this point of the highest level of mixed martial arts. And he never really had any struggle. I mean, look, I understand there's struggles in the Western world, right? But you know what people say when they come up with this phrase, oh, third world problems versus first world problems, right? I mean, I'm sure Tom has had some sort of struggles growing up in England, but I'm sure it pales in a comparison with somebody that grew up in a mine and literally a field of just hard labor from Francis Ngannou in Cameroon. So something to think about. We're still waiting for the next guy to step onto the presser right now, and then we're going to end it. So we're just basically reacting to the presser right now as we are going to finish off the night. So let's take a look at what else was in the cards tonight. Obviously, we talked about Mackenzie Dern, Benoit Saint Denis, Diego Lopez. Uh, they had There were no takedowns in his fight. He attempted one takedown. Pat Sabatini tried two takedowns and got stuffed. 72% percentage for Diego Lopez. Wasn't really a long fight. It was literally 90 seconds. And yeah, so Diego got the TKO in that one. Who else was John Castaneda versus Kang Hall? He had 3 takedowns out of 8 attempts of Kong. He was just basically out grappling him this entire fight. Was also just outstriking him. 119 out of 187 strikes total, 63%. I mean, he was just the overall better fighter in this particular card. And in Josh Van, I told you guys earlier in the night, some things that I really liked seeing from Josh Van was that he showed what you could do against a very elusive striker. Now, for me, one of the styles that I really love to implement more than anything is I love to fight elusive, right? Because I think that it works. I think it's the best way to prevent yourself from getting knocked out. It's very defensively sound. It's a very important part of your game that I think is, well, really, really important for survival, and not just survival, but even winning on points. But sometimes if you don't implement it correctly, or if your timing isn't right, or if you don't have the right conditioning for it, in comes the likes of Josh Van, who has this great crisp Muay Thai, keeps his hands up really high, keeps his front lead leg in a tippy toe position in a Muay Thai kind of way, where you're not sort of putting a lot of weight to it, where you're getting ready to check the kick when the kick comes to you, and then move forward, throw body kicks, high kicks, and just basic Muay Thai overall to deal with an elusive striker like Kevin Borjas. So it was real good. It was a real great display of Muay Thai on Josh Van on that one. Now, with Saint Denis, what was great about that fight is, once again, in the beginning of the bell, they just went for it straight away, right? Just started throwing bombs straight away. So I'm talking about Saint Denis and Matt Bravola. But sometimes when you do that with somebody who's very skilled, and by the way, Benoit Saint Denis came into this fight highly skilled, a lot more improved, and really worked on his timing, which is the reason why he was able to get that headshot, head kick knockout. So who are we waiting on right now? I believe we're waiting on just Tom Aspinall and Alex Pereira. We're going to react to their presser. We just reacted to Dana White. If you guys want to check that and rewind back, we did the reaction to the main event as that was going on. And yeah. Now about Mackenzie Dern tonight. How about her performance? I mean, she was doing great for a minute, but Andrade was just too strong, and then that was a tail of the tape right there. So that was the end of the night. Let's see what else. I believe we're still waiting on. Yeah, we are still waiting on Tom Aspinall and Alex Pereira. Yeah, so pretty much 100% on the prediction for tonight when it comes to the main and co-main event. So I'm going to have to look back on my other predictions for the other fights. I'm sure I did a few predictions on them. I didn't really specify like the other cards, or maybe I did. Maybe I did do a few predictions on the prelims and the main cards. But yeah, check out the other videos and all the other coverage this week to get the results of that. But for sure, the main event and co-main event tonight, I got 100% right. But with Tom Aspinall, I believe I really expected him to go in with a decision on this one. I did not expect Tom Aspinall
around, kicking a football around, and just
Yeah, I like that. I like that he said, even if I'm afraid of doing something, I'm still going to do it anyway, which, by the way, is really refreshing to hear in this society that we live in with high bravado and just never admitting when you're wrong or never taking accountability to anything. So here's more on Tom right here.
to answer the question, I've been involved in an emotion that it's difficult to get to grips with.
It's awesome. That's like me. I know you're going to want to take some time to just enjoy this. But have you started thinking about what's next? Because it seems like it's kind of a weird picture, right? Dana was here earlier and he says, we still got to do John and Stipe.
So they're still talking about trying to do John and Stipe. That's quite interesting. So hold on, we're
Started mapping out like what you would like to do.
I thought about that, to be honest. I didn't think about anything like that before this fight at all. Like, I was aware of what I was up against tonight with Sergey. This is a guy that I know personally because I'm involved in these circles kind of at the top of the division. Nobody wants to fight that guy. Cut all bullshit aside, nobody wants to fight that guy. This champion's turning him down. So I knew what I was up against tonight, and
he is right. John Jones did turn down Pavlovich.
An absolute machine. And
now, suppose if it was Stipe that got injured tonight, would he step in like that? Probably not.
Happens, but ultimately, I want to fight John Jones.
So, Tom, over here to your right, if I could. You were on vacation, Dana tells us, right?
Nearly.
So where were you?
I've got a little place in Wales. Like, it's driving distance, but I've just bought a little place in Wales, which is like a holiday home, we call it in the UK. So I just go there with the family sometimes. So we had a little trip planned over there. And didn't make it. Another one I've missed. I'm the worst vacation guy ever. I never seem to make it.
How was your wife when you did that? And you told her that you had to leave the vacation.
Yeah, she's not that happy, but she's used to it. If I didn't have her, I'd be. That's some of your biggest issues is your close circle to be successful, and she's very on board, as are the rest of my close friends and family. So I'm very, very lucky in that regard.
What did you do to get your back in the kind of, because I know backs are really bad when you're hurting. What did you do specifically to get yourself back in condition so that you could fight?
It's still bad. Still not great. I've just been getting massages, seeing the chiropractor, and getting in the ice bath, getting in the jacuzzi, all the rest of the stuff. But to be honest with you, it's still not the best. I'm gonna have to get it treated properly when I go home.
When Sergey hit you with that punch early, and the mouthpiece, and you kind of wobbled there a little bit, anything go through your head like, I have to be careful, or any thought about the way the fight was going to play out?
No, it's all happening a bit faster, kind of thing, all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm obviously aware he's got massive punches. And because I was so nervous, like I started off the fight not very well. Like I wasn't moving really well at first. And that's happened in fights before, but never against a guy like that dangerous. So, yeah, he hit me with the shot. The mouthpiece started to come out a little bit. I kind of readjusted the mouthpiece on the fly. And I think that he thought he hurt me with the shot, but he didn't. So then I started cutting angles, coming back in and landing my shots, which is, you don't want to stand flat-footed and trade with a guy like that. That's why all my punches were off the angle and with the calf kicks and stuff.
And then last thing I wanted to ask you, you win the title in your 8th fight, which is an amazing accomplishment. And the guy that fought after you won his 2nd title in his 7th UFC fight. And I wonder, just as an athlete watching somebody do that, like, can you just comment on what the significance of what Alex just did by winning a light heavyweight title and a middleweight title in the last year, and doing that all in that short period of time?
Yeah, it's fantastic. And obviously he's got a long kickboxing career as well. The guy's an absolute G. Very scary human being also, like Sergey Pavlovich. I don't think I've ever seen him smile this week, so I'm quite scared of him as well. Hopefully I won't have to fight him one day. But yeah, he's amazing. I'm a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of Yuri's as well. Also another scary guy, another wild guy. I'm going to have to watch that fight back up. So
yeah, how about that? Did you guys notice Tucker Carlson was here tonight? Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a little bit.
How much your father has meant to your journey. I know that your dream is always to give him that belt, but when actually getting to do that in the octagon, actually physically doing the thing you dreamed about for so long, what's that experience?
Oh, mate, it gets me emotional thinking about it. There's been a million people involved in this career, not just my dad. You know what I mean? Like, I've got such an amazing team around me now of heavyweights. It's fantastic. But I've trained at so many gyms over the years, all at this point near enough all over the world. Do you know what I mean? I've started training in Team Carbon when I was like 14. Then I've boxed with like the Furies for years. Now I'm got the heavyweight team going, and I go over to Holland to train with Rico Verhoeven and stuff, and I'm part of their team. And not only that, I've been numerous boxing gyms, numerous strength and conditioning people, all kinds of different stuff. Like, I've done it, and I just hope that not just my dad, but everybody who's been a small part of that can look at him and be like, I'm proud of him. Like, that makes me really, to make someone who's proud of me, who's been part of my journey. And because I respect everybody so much, you know what I mean? All the training partners, all the support, all the coaches from different gyms and different disciplines. Like, I respect everybody so much. And for somebody to look at me and be like, I was part of that journey, I'm really proud of him. That absolutely means the world to me.
You know, there was a time when you would sit in front of us and tell us, like, oh, I'm not any good at it. And then tonight, you come out, you win the world title, you walk out the cage, Michael Bisping's there to grab you and say, congratulations. Can you put into words your own personal growth, like being this guy who, you're self-deprecating, and then being able to get in there, knock out the scariest guy in the division, and prove to yourself you're best in the world?
Yeah, it's pretty creepy, mate. When I do my little crouch down thing that I do before the fight, I look to the side of Sergey's head, and I see Donald Trump's head looking back at me. There's pretty trippy scenes over there. But it sounds like corny and stuff, and I don't want to be that guy, but sometimes you just got to believe in yourself, and things start fitting around you to make it work. It's really bizarre. People like all these fighters, all these champions, like the friends of mine, the close friends, they're not just like people I look up to, they're actually my friends, and they give me advice, and it just means the absolute world to me that anyone would look at me and be like, I'm proud of it. Honestly, that really makes me happy.
Last one for me. I know you said that you kind of want to take some time, and John Jones is the target, but Cyril Garn's calling you out, says he wants to fight.
Oh, that's interesting. After I just called him out, went to France, and he turned the fight down.
Any interest?
I think he should fight Almeida. I think them guys should fight each other first and see what happens there.
Right. So I have to ask about that. When you guys put your hands on each other's shoulders at the beginning of the fight, did you know that he would reciprocate, or what went into that? Because we don't normally see that before heavyweight time.
No, I didn't know anything. I respect him as a person, as an athlete. I respect all my opponents, whether I like them or not. It's kind of irrelevant to me. Like, this is a sport. I treat it as a sport. I don't hate anybody. I don't. I have love for everybody. I told him after the fight that I love him and I'm sorry and hope he gets back and all that kind of stuff. And I respect him before the fight, during the fight, after the fight. Opponents are irrelevant to me. Like, they're just a person that I'm fighting. It doesn't mean anything to me. I don't have to hate anybody.
Considering the short notice nature of this fight, is he a guy you think you'll see again down the road at some point?
I think so, but definitely. I believe he's like 31 years old. I'm 30 years old. We've both got another at least 5 years at this thing. And believe me when I tell you, he's going to knock everybody else out in the division. So we're going to go again.
Do you think you're the best heavyweight in the world?
Yeah.
Considering that you said Sergey was the scariest fighter in the division, and we saw what you did to him in essentially no training camp, do you now think you take that moniker as the scariest guy in this division?
No, I'm very friendly. So I'm not sure. A very, very nice man and friendly. But I think when that octagon door closes,
I like that he answered he is the best heavyweight right now because, quite frankly, he has the skills to show that. And also, he's a bad matchup for John Jones. You only had to see the fight tonight to really understand that. Good on Tom Aspinall. More on him right now.
you jump in. Let's have a go and see how we go.
You just said that you make here in the center. Right. You make decisions and you hit shots that others can't see. You won the fight off of a pair of left rights back to back. Was that something again you saw, or was this maybe just a matter of trying to get fast hands on him, or what?
It's just reactive. That's just like a testament to my training. I've been training since I was, as I just said, 8 years old. And when I see a shot, I'll throw it. And when I don't see a shot, I won't throw it. And I believe I hit him with like a stepping over left hook and a right hand, and then maybe a 1-2 after. I'm not sure. I have to watch it back. Yeah, I've been in this, not this sport, but I've been in martial arts a long time, and we've done plenty drills over the years with my dad and stuff like that, and with all the other.
Yeah, so Tom Aspinall's just talking about all the drills that him and his dad did as a kid.
Every day now. And yeah, it's just practice.
Without giving away too much, what is your favorite reaction I drill?
Reaction I drill? Oh, so my dad's got like a little gym in his garage for the American people over there.
Thank you for the translation.
No problem. And for years now, my dad's been like all these tennis balls. And he's just like launching them at my head, and I'm like move the head out of the way. And I'll tell you what, he's paid off tonight, though, isn't it? That was pretty good. And I don't want to get hit with a tennis ball, so I definitely won't want to get hit by with Sergey Pavlovich. So yeah, we do a lot. We do a lot of that kind of stuff. We do a lot of different training, and I was unorthodox training in the garage over the years, and it's all top secret stuff though, so I don't want to give too much away.
Tom back here.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Congratulations on the win, by the way.
Thank you.
I think chance taking is the family business. What do you say, considering that your dad quit his job to train you, and you take a fight on short notice and win the world championship? Is there a piece of advice that he gave you at the very beginning?
Yeah, someone just asked about Tom Aspinall's dad quitting his job in order to sort of look after him full time with his MMA career, right? So I just thought that was interesting to bring up because sometimes, you have to take a little bit of these risks in order for you to get somewhere. And sometimes taking that risk and that sense of insecurity of not having a certain income sometimes kind of deters a lot of people from going after things. So it's quite interesting. More on Tom Aspinall right here.
There's a million things that he's told me, but the most important thing he tells me every single time is just enjoy yourself. Just do you. Just enjoy yourself. And that's what I always try to do.
one more question for me. Obviously, the Great Britain market, the UK market is awesome with combat sports. And how's it feel to take back the title to your home? And you know it's going to be a party back there.
Absolutely unbelievable. I can't wait for that. But right now, I'm going to enjoy tonight. But I think we should do Tom Aspinall versus John Jones in Manchester. That is something special, and I'm sure the UFC are going to be.
Yeah, so he just mentioned he wants to do John Jones versus Tom Aspinall in Manchester. That would be big. Now imagine if they did that in the Etihad Stadium in Manchester City, or maybe in the Old Trafford in Manchester United's areas. Who knows?
Obviously, the historical one would be Wembley. And I know you said that you're just taking it in right now, but with that prospect to you, then maybe I know Manchester would be perfect for you, but what about yourself, John Jones at Wembley?
Absolutely incredible. Also, it doesn't have to be Manchester, but I think that if we do the greatest fighter of all time versus the UK heavyweight champion of the UFC, the UK heavyweight, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? The UK guy is the world champion. That would, in the UK, that would be absolutely insane. Like, let's do it. Absolutely.
And John has kind of gone on record and basically said that the Stipe fight might be his last fight. And I think he said that because, he's been down the years.
Yeah, so that's interesting to really bring up, right? We don't know if John is ever going to come back, and this injury can really hinder him from moving forward.
I don't think I did much wrong for him to be like, that's an easy fight. I think if I hit anybody square in the face, they're going to go to sleep. Simple as that. And John knows that. And that's no disrespect to John. I absolutely love John. Like, he's one of my favourite fighters of all time. I absolutely look up to him, but I want to fight him, and I think I can win.
And you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but what were the first words that you said to your dad, Andy?
I can't remember. I was just in a world of absolute madness.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
Tom down here. This is kind of a star-making performance from you tonight. When this kind of happens, life can change a lot. People come out of the woodworks. They want things from you. They, want to be your friend, all that
Oh,
stuff.
this is a good question. This guy is asking Tom, hey, what do you think about the people that are going to come out the woodwork now? Let's see his response. So he said he's been experienced this over the years already, even before being a champion.
Well, I used to say before tonight, anyone who's not helping me become the best in the world, I'm not going to be around them. But I'm the best in the world now. So we keep a tight ship. I'm happy with the people I've got around me. Absolutely incredible people. Each and every day, enjoy. Each and every day, I'm spending time with people I love and who care about me, and I love them back. It's not like, they're not just sucking up to me because I'm doing well in my career. Like, we're all friends. We've got family members involved. There's all kinds going on. But I'm really happy with the people I've got around me right now. I don't need anybody new.
Yeah, Tom says he's really happy with the staff that he has going on right now, and these are the people that he wants to take to the top with him.
It's meant a lot to me. I used to go watch Bisping and sit up in the nosebleeds before.
Yeah, he said that it means a lot to him that Bisping came here and supported him.
Watching Bisping against Chris Lieben in Birmingham. I don't know what year that was, but it was fucking ages ago. It was 2008. Yeah, so I would have been 15 years old then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he said he was 15 years old when he witnessed Lieben versus Michael Bisping back in 2008. That's really interesting how all of this came in a full circle, right? He watched Michael Bisping against Chris Lieben back in 2008. And now here he is. Really interesting. More on Tom Aspinall's live presser right now.
Tom, did you get the chance to talk to your? I know it's really early in the morning at home, but did you get the chance to talk to your wife? And
not yet.
Yeah.
But I tried.
Given his
So they ask if he's willing to fight John Jones or willing to wait to fight John Jones if, let's say, John Jones was to, I guess, rehabilitate himself for a long period of time. I like what Tom said here. He said something to the effect, you know what? I'm not going to wait around for John Jones any longer, which I think is really perfect because, look, there is a possibility that this guy is never going to come back. And because of that, you have to start building your own legacy from here and preparing for the fact that perhaps maybe you're going to be crowned the undisputed champion without actually fighting the real undisputed champion at that. But we'll see.
right down the middle here. While you were sitting up there about 5 minutes ago, John Jones tweeted about you.
Oh, John Jones just tweeted live about him right now.
Congratulations on the interim heavyweight
Said congratulations on your IC belt.
To hear that from him, the guy that he considered to be the greatest fighter of all time and a prospective future opponent of yours, I guess, how does that feel?
I've seen John talking nice stuff about me on a podcast as well. It's really nice. Obviously, it's always nice.
Yeah, Tom Aspinall said he's seen John talk really nice about him in other podcasts before. He thinks it's quite flattering. He says, thank you, John.
Just give me the opportunity, John. Let me do it. Give me my dream fight.
He says, give him his dream fight. Man, why not, right?
Give me my dream fight. Let me fight for my legacy now, please.
Tom, just on to your left. Can you actually explain this week now in terms of Atherton to Times Square, your face lighting up?
Now they're asking him, how does it feel like to see his face in Times Square and whatnot, which is obviously all very new for Tom Aspinall.
Didn't know you were coming, mate. It's nice to see you. You blended in there.
Yeah.
In the house. It's lovely. That's excellent.
Yeah, this is a good, it was a good call out for Tom Aspinall right now, what he just said. He said, hey, you know what? Give me my shot. It's for my legacy. And it's sort of like what happened with John Jones when he was given an opportunity against Shogun back in the days, huh? Now it's all coming back full circle.
As people from the Northwest, we're not told we can do stuff.
Okay, that's interesting. Tom Aspinall said, you know, growing up in the northwest of England, you know, we're told we're not able to do anything, which is a really interesting mentality that they have in that part of the world, right? I mean, I guess that goes with any factory town or any hood in the world where people sort of like just doubt you and try to hold you down or have this crab in a bucket mentality. Now, Tom Aspinall has just finished his post-fight presser right now, and I believe now the last person we are going to be waiting for is Alex Pereira. We're going to react to Alex Pereira, and then we're going to end it from here. But what are some takeaways that we got from this segment with Tom Aspinall's presser? So here's a couple of things that I could take away from this, right? Number one, he has a very respectful call out towards John Jones. He says, hey, man, look, give me an opportunity. I just want to cement my legacy. And again, John Jones was given that same opportunity as well back in 2011 against Shogun Rua. So why not for him to do the same thing? And then on top of that, it's quite a big thing for John as well, because not only can he say he beat the guys in the previous generations, which, by the way, some of the biggest criticisms that John Jones has gotten over the past years was the fact that he fought a lot of guys that were over the hill when he fought Rampage, when he fought Lyoto Machida, when he fought Daniel Cormier. Well, not so much Daniel Cormier. I mean, obviously, Daniel Cormier was a top 1, top 2 A-level fighter the whole entire time. But the other names that I had mentioned, right, there's the constant criticism of John Jones. Well, now John Jones has sort of an opportunity to beat several different generations. We're talking about 3 generations worth of guys that he goes out and he beats. Shogun from the Pride days. Then you had Lyoto, Rampage. That's one particular era in and of itself. Then as the time went on, he took on Glover. That's a whole different set of era in and of itself. Then he took on Oben St. Preux. Obviously, he had that win against Gustafsson and Reyes. And then after that, you had what? Then Cyril Gahn moving into the new generation. And then after Cyril Gahn, maybe even Stipe Miocic and now possibly Tom Aspinall. That's a great way to complete your resume, which, by the way, I think, not to count anyone's pockets or anything, I'm sure it's not about money for John Jones in this particular time. I think with these guys, they reach a certain level and it doesn't become about money, right? Because if it's just about money, then you think about this, right? How about these guys that are playing in the NBA or NFL that are winning championships every year, or at least damn near in that position? But then again, you sort of think, okay, some of these sports are not combat sports, are not as deadly with the consequences that you have, which is why I say that if John Jones was to leave right now and not give an opportunity for Tom Aspinall, I think that would save face for a lot of people. Well, what do I mean by that exactly? Well, for one, it would save face for Tom Aspinall, because imagine, we already know that he is supposed to be this generation's next guy, right? But if you had a Floyd Mayweather Canelo situation where Floyd Mayweather beat the living hell out of Canelo before Canelo could even reach up to like 40 fights, I mean, it's like one of those situations, right? It was never really passed down. I mean, obviously it was passed down, but there's always that asterisk that, well, Canelo got beat by this guy before he went on a rise, before he got on that run to the undisputed 168 championship, before he fought Bivol and whatnot. So these are some things to really look at and try to understand when it comes to the dynamics of the choices that now these top two heavyweights have to make. And I'm talking about John Jones. In his case, he doesn't want to risk the legacy that he's already built. Look, winning against Cyril Gane is good enough, because guess what? George St. Pierre won his second belt just like that against Michael Bisping, a formidable champion, but realistically, a great matchup and a great opportunity for them to take. With John Jones, man, Tom Aspinall is looking like a serious risk for his legacy. Does he really want to go in there and take this risk against somebody in this level? Who knows, man? Who knows? But John Jones could either really truly believe in himself that, hey, he could just go out there for one more rodeo and beat Aspinall. But then, man, you got to think, you know what? There's Stipe in the midst of all this, right? Stipe, by the way, man, I'm telling you, he's a serious clog in a heavyweight division. Over the years, he's always been that way. He obviously tied down the heavyweight division when he had to go through those rematches with DC. While he was champion, he made everybody wait for him to come back. Now that he's no longer a champion and a veteran challenger, what is he doing? He's literally making people wait again, because now he's got this matchup with John Jones that they can still rematch down. I'm sorry, they can still rebook down the line while there's a sitting interim champion in the wings. And Tom Aspinall basically put it down and said, I'm not going to wait for this guy. I'm going to go and defend this interim title, even if I have to. I believe Shane Carwin defended his interim title too as well, right? I'm not sure. I can't remember off the top of my head, but write on the comment section below if you guys remember whether Shane Carwin actually defended his interim belt. I don't think he did. I think he just beat Frank Mir, knocked him out. It was in a New Jersey card. It was actually the same card where George St. Pierre defended against Dan Hardy, from what I remember. And yeah, he never defended his interim championship. He just went straight into the Brock Lesnar fight, which Brock Lesnar defeated Shane Carwin and unified the belts on that event, on that following event after Shane Carwin won his interim championship in a heavyweight division. So that's where Tom Aspinall is at right now. He's sort of in this Shane Carwin situation with Brock Lesnar as the heavyweight champion. And, well, in this case, John Jones as the heavyweight champion waiting in the wings. A big name for him waiting in the wings for him to get that opportunity. So we're now just waiting on Alex Pereira. I'm going to call it a day after the Alex Pereira presser. So I'm just waiting on him, just letting this time run and reacting to the whole card. And I believe that I already gone through the whole entire card. You can rewind back in this particular stream, take a look at some takes that I've had for the entire night of cards and the great fights that were produced. Now, we always knew that this card was going to be a banger, right? But obviously, this was a hardcore fans card. It wasn't necessarily for the casuals. Had it been Jones and Stipe, yeah, you could say that that was for the casuals. But tonight definitely was for the hardcores. It was more like a fast forward to the future, right? Because we wanted to get these old guys out of the way. Let's just be really honest about John Jones and Stipe, right? They're the older guys. They're the OGs of the game. And Aspinall and Pavlovich were the two young guys coming up. They both had their struggles on their way up, different struggles in a way. Obviously, Pavlovich had that one loss against Overeem. Aspinall had that little slip up against Curtis Blades. And how about Curtis Blades just probably looking down on this thinking, you know what? There it is. There's my shot right there. He was always being, I guess, how do I say this? Gate capped by Francis Ngannou, right? He fought Francis Ngannou twice, knocked him out twice, I believe. And yeah, he never really got up to the top. Just because of that, right? I mean, he was beating everybody else. He has the wrestling to deal with everybody else. But other than that, I mean, yeah, you could say Curtis Blades has a win over the current interim champion right now, which, in my opinion, look, let's just call it what it is. For me, this is an undisputed championship for Tom. Now, if he goes somewhere down the line and fights somebody else and loses the belt, or even if he actually makes it to the John Jones fight, tonight and forever, I will always remember Tom Aspinall as the undisputed champion regardless of the fact. Now, obviously, within objective like aspect to it, he's not the champion technically, right? But subjectively speaking, because let's face it, combat sports in reality, especially in the professional realm, is really subjective. So you can create your own subjective reality in that. And I'm willing to say he is a real undisputed champion. So yeah, we're just waiting on Pereira right now, which was the main event of tonight. The guy that we reacted the fight to. So how about this? In the beginning of the stream, we were reacting to the Pereira fight. I was debating with myself, you know what? Should I have gone on tonight and just done the whole entire card? But then I thought, man, that's just too long. It's a lot of hours in and this and that. But then I was just like, okay, you know what? Let's do a post show. Then when I was thinking about doing a post show, I was like, you know what? Let's just react to his fight right now and then go into the post show straight away. So how about that? We went with Alex Pereira into the cage, reacting to his fights, and now we're going into the presser room with Alex Pereira, all in one stream that we're doing in this 2-hour live podcast or reaction show coverage that we're doing right now. So, by the way, if you guys are just listening right now, don't forget to like and subscribe. We are just waiting on Alex Pereira right now, and we're going to react to his presser, and then we're going to call it a night. But yeah, we just had Tom Aspinall come on and explain his story and explain his victory and the happiness that came out of this, and the fact that he didn't really train for this fight. He, by the way, just again pulled a Michael Bisping, right? So we shall see. We shall see. So next week, let's take a look at some cards that they have next week. They have Brendan Allen, I believe. Who is he taking on next week? Brendan Allen against Paul Craig. So Paul Craig going down to the middleweight division is really interesting, right? I mean, obviously he was a monster and a dark horse at 205. He has a win over the former 205 champ, which is Jamal Hill. And by the way, how about this? Is Jamal Hill the next guy for Alex Pereira in that? It's quite interesting if you think about it. It's sort of like avenging your teacher's loss, right? Because he obviously won the belt, Jamal Hill I'm talking about, against Glover Teixeira, who was the last guy to take on Jiri. And obviously Jiri was the guy that beat Glover Teixeira for that belt. And now they're playing hot potato with this belt right now. Maybe Alex Pereira is going to hold on to this belt. Maybe Izzy wants to come in here and try to fight for the belt. against a guy that is a great rival of him. And yeah, here we are. So let's see here. So yeah, Pereira was credited with one knockdown in this fight, by the way. 2 minutes and 40 seconds of control time that Alex Pereira had in this fight. So great clinching on his part, right? Obviously, yes, you have to be a well-rounded fighter, but with Muay Thai, it's sort of like a sport that covers, I would say, 35% of MMA. Right? You have the footwork aspect, depending on what kind of style of Muay Thai you're doing. You have the kicking aspect. You have the knees and elbows aspect, which, by the way, came from Muay Thai, but just implemented into MMA. And then you have the clinch aspect, but not so much of the ground. So that's why I say that Muay Thai is sort of a great base for MMA if you really think about it, right? So speaking of Pereira, we're just waiting on him right now, and then we will react to his presser, and we will call it a night. But yeah, we're just waiting for Pereira at the current moment in time. Hold on just a second. Yeah, so here's something I wanted to bring up about Alex Behera as we're waiting for him right now, right? Would you say that it's fair to say that he sort of benefited from the fast tracking of it all, right? Because you can't have this type of opportunity if you weren't fast tracked. Now, you could argue McGregor was fast tracked, but then some of that was earned. But then again, you can also say that Alex Behera was fast tracked in a way that he earned this himself as well, right? Just meeting opportunity after opportunity and now taking it. And speaking of opportunity, here's Alex right now. Let us react to him live right now in his presser. And we're going to talk in between because obviously he's going to have a translator. So we're going to try to decipher some of these questions that they're going to give to the current undisputed champion of the 205 division right now.
Champion of second division this earlier in UFC career.
Alex, parabéns aí para a sua grande vitória hoje à noite. Coloca pra gente aí o que significa para você estar vencendo a sua segunda divisão na sua vida.
Bom, significa muito para mim, né? Esse é o resultado de um trabalho bem feito nesses longos anos, né? E, pô, essa conquista agora, pô, claro, sempre difícil, né? Mas muito importante. É onde eu consigo, né, mostrar um pouco para as pessoas.
Yeah, so it's like a combination of different events coming in together in order for him to take these opportunities and capitalize on it. This is literally what Alex Behera has gone through right now.
It means a lot to me to be able to conquer these after so many years of training, dedication, and also it's very important for me to be able to show to everybody, you know what I mean? Everybody know where I came from, my humble beginnings. So to get here and achieve this is a big achievement for me.
Very nice. Yuri, obviously notoriously kind of wild, difficult to predict, unique. How did you find being in there with him? Was it more challenging maybe than you thought?
Pô, devido ao estilo dele, né, ser cara mais diferente, o jeito que ele se move, tudo meio único. Como é que você achou lá dentro com ele?
Bom, eu sempre pensei isso, né, que era a luta perfeita para mim, claro, sabendo que, pô, ia ser difícil, ia ser uma guerra ali, mas o estilo dele ali, pô, favorecia, né, pro meu estilo. Então, não fiquei assim surpreso, né? Eu fiquei um pouco surpreso porque eu achei que ele iria atacar um pouco mais, seria mais agressivo, mas eu tava ali achando a distância, né, e, pô, consegui achar a distância e conectei o golpe bom nele.
Well, I was not that surprised, you know what I mean? It was going to be a good fight for me. Maybe a little surprised to fight in the distance a little bit at first, but then I found myself in the fight and I was going to make a mistake.
Yes. Yuri himself said there's no controversy, but the stoppage was a little weird. I guess, what did you see during the stoppage?
Yeah, that is the story of the night, isn't it? You know, the stoppage is probably something that a lot of people are going to be speaking about. I'm probably going to make a video about that afterwards. So, and then just upload it and we'll go from there.
Golpes e sentindo a pressão ali, né? Quando eu conectei aqueles dois golpes ali em pé, ele veio para as pernas ali para tentar agarrar, né? Porque estava sentindo já. Eu comecei a lhe bater, depois das cotoveladas nele, eu vi ele, o corpo dele, pô, amolecendo ali em cima das pernas e, pô, deu no que vocês viram e, pô, claro, tem as pessoas que gostam dele, estavam torcendo por ele. Com certeza vão falar algo, mas, pô, ele já é o cara que estava sentindo as porradas e ele, pô, falou que foi correto.
No, man, he was feeling those punches. I felt he was feeling those, and then when he got in, he got connected the left hook and then the cross. Once he dropped on my legs, which it was not like that, I take them, but he actually fell. I started punching. I started feeling that he was a little bit fading away, and I think it's a good stoppage. I know maybe his friends and his supporters, his people, his fans, gonna maybe try to say that was not, but I think it was the correct way.
Nice. Last thing for me, you mentioned the name Adesanya again. Dana was here earlier and he said, look, Jamal Hill's next. Is that a fight that you welcome, and what do you think of Jamal as an opponent?
Bom, por último aí, né, sobre a Adesanya, você acha que não tá certo para você? E sobre o Jamal também.
O Adesanya eu falei ali em cima, né? Pô, foi cara que, assim, me motivou muito a fazer o que eu fiz, né, aqui dentro da organização. E, poxa, acho que eu devo algo para ele e eu acho que com essa ideia dele de estar esse tempo, né, dando uma pausa aí, eu acho que, pô, muitas pessoas querem ver ele lutar, né, ver ele mostrar o talento que ele tem e, pô, eu acho que eu vou conseguir fazer ele voltar antes.
No, I mean, what I said over there, you know what I mean? I think I owe this to a designer. He motivated me at first, and I think, you know, the whole thing about him staying all this time, 2027, I think it's a waste of talent. So I think many people try, but I think I'll be able to bring him back.
What do you guys think about Alex Behera possibly going for a third belt? I mean, he has the power to compete in the heavyweight division, right? So that all depends on what he wants to do and the choices that now he has in his arsenal.
Just asked Dana White if he will be open to make a title defense for Alex in Brazil, and we asked him if this was his wish too.
Bom, pô, eu quero lutar, para mim não importa, né, onde que eu vou lutar.
Yeah, they're asking about a title fight down in Brazil if he's down for it. Now he's answering in Portuguese.
Agora eu vou voltar para casa, vou gastar 1h30, né? Então, pô, isso para mim é muito bom, porque viajar é um pouco complicado. Claro que a gente quer dar um show para os fãs ali no Brasil, né, querendo ver uma luta ali ao vivo, né? E, pô, isso seria muito bom, mas é aquilo, cara. Fica à disposição da organização, onde eles acharem que tem que me colocar, eu vou lutar.
Well, it really don't matter to me, even though it's much more convenient to fight here because it's about an hour and a half from my house, so you know what I mean?
Yeah, Alex Behera really arrived in just the most strangest situation, right? Like, it's a combination of him being a special talent, but also being put in these like unique circumstances in combat sports. It's never happened. So yeah, it'll be a while before you'll see anything emulate something like this. So
E eu deixei bem claro que eu não levo essa emoção para dentro do octógono, porque para mim não fugir ali do que eu quero fazer, né, do todo planejado, todo treinamento, né, não ser jogado fora, né, claro, pô, eu gosto muito do Glover, né, pô, mas luta é luta, né, eu poderia ter perdido ali, mas, pô, eu saí com a vitória.
Like I spoke to other reporters asked, so I don't know if he'll be able to be ready on time or not. Has, you know, when it comes down to revenge, the same as on this fight, you know what I mean? Like, everything can happen over there because I came with the loss, but nothing personal.
E a minha última agora. Você foi lutador a conquistar 2 cinturões com menos lutas no UFC. Você agora tem várias defesas que deve fazer e tal, se continuar vencendo nessa categoria. Você pensa em algum dia, por acaso, lutar nos pesos pesados para tentar ser o único da história do UFC com 3 cinturões?
You're the first fighter to win on 2 different weight classes in such a small amount of fights. Let's say everything.
Yeah, he was able to become double champion in a small amount of fights. That is a different level of GOAT status that I think separates him from everybody else.
Eu não tinha planos, mas quando meu corpo me avisasse que eu tinha que subir, eu ia fazer isso. E foi o que eu fiz. Pô, tô com 36 anos de idade. Né? Eu não sei, né, daqui 2, 3 anos, como é que vai ser, como meu corpo vai estar. Né? Se meu corpo falar que eu tenho que subir, eu vou subir, eu tenho que lutar. Mas eu não vejo isso agora, entendeu? Tá longe disso.
Since I was fighting middleweight, people already been asking me if I will fight a heavyweight, and I keep saying the same thing, that I'll have to listen to my body. I'm 36 years old now. I don't know how far can I still fight. So right now, my focus is just this.
Alex, I wanted to ask you, when you made the decision to go to MMA from kickboxing, what factored into that? And did you have to humble yourself? You know, you're kind of starting over again in a new sport.
Quando você começou a sua transição para o MMA, apesar de ser cara muito experiente já no kickboxing, você teve que ficar humilde e começar bem quase do zero para começar no MMA?
Bom, no MMA eu comecei em 2015, né? Mas não estava focado ali porque eu tinha planos no kickboxing mas eu já tinha começado a fazer algo, né? E quando eu cheguei na academia do Glover, eu adiantei muito, né? Esses treinos, me dediquei bastante e, migrei, né? Definitivamente para o MMA, então isso me deu mais condições para me estar treinando e evoluindo cada dia.
Well, I've been training MMA since 2015, but due to my kickboxing career, I had to focus more on that, put my whole focus on kickboxing. After I started helping Glover for his camps and started training at Glover's gym, I made a shift and, merged into MMA.
When you decided to switch over, did you believe that you could be this successful this quickly? I know you had confidence in yourself, but in terms of believing that you could be a champion as fast as you became, and almost a legend, you have beaten 4 UFC champions already in your career. Did you think it could come this fast when you first tried MMA?
Quando você começou a MMA, você imaginaria que um dia chegaria aqui como campeão duplo, né, campeão de 2 categorias e todo esse sucesso que você já teve?
Não imaginava, né? Falei também, quando eu comecei a treinar, né, conheci arte marcial, treinando
And
já.
if you're just listening to us right now, we are reacting to El-Kheer in his post-fight presser right now. We will listen to it, react to it, and we will end it from there afterwards. So,
Tô aqui, né, agora, né, campeão aí de 2 categorias, né? E é isso.
Man, I'm not even on that. Let's move back because on the beginning, I actually don't even know if I could support myself only as a fighter, if I could make a living out of that. But thanks to a lot of good people around me that kept me motivated, kept me boosting me, I'm here to champion 2 different weight classes.
Do you feel, my last question for you, Alex, do you feel like, Anderson Silva set a standard for fighters in Brazil with all the title defenses he made, but do you feel like the path you're on, you have a chance to be the greatest fighter ever from Brazil, given you've already won 2 titles and who knows what else you might be able to do in this sport?
Bom, o Anderson Silva meio que colocou padrão, né, de melhor lutador da história do Brasil, com todas as defesas de título que ele teve e tudo mais. Né, você acha que você consegue, com tudo que você está fazendo e conquistando, sendo campeão em 2 categorias diferentes, ser o melhor lutador que já veio do Brasil?
Bom, eu não estou nem focado nisso, né? Eu quero lutar. Eu vou estar continuando fazendo o meu trabalho, né? Foi um trabalho bem feito. E eu não consigo decidir esse tipo de coisa. Mas eu vou estar fazendo o meu trabalho e as pessoas que são responsáveis a isso vão decidir e vão ver qual que é a colocação.
Well, I'm not really focusing on that. I'm focused on just keep doing my job and fighting. You know what I mean? So it's not up to me. It's up to the people who make those records, who make that stuff to decide.
Alex, in front right here. A year ago, you said that the beating Israel Adesanya and claiming the middleweight title meant a little bit more than your Glory Championship. So I'm curious, where does this title win rank amongst all your other ones?
Um ano atrás, quando você foi campeão em cima do Adesanya, você falou que significava bem mais do que os títulos do Glória que você tinha. E agora, esse que você ganhou, onde que você coloca aí das suas conquistas?
Bom, eu sempre falei, né? Sempre a minha próxima luta é a mais importante. Essa aqui, né? Foi a mais importante. Falei isso 1 dia, 2 dias atrás. Agora, quando eu parar de lutar, quando me aposentar, aí eu vou parar, né? Vou focar nisso, vou falar assim, qual foi a última luta? Qual foi a luta mais difícil ou a mais importante? Então, eu vou parar para pensar. Mas a minha luta mais importante vai ser a próxima.
Well, right now, my biggest achievement is always my next fights. So the most important fights for me is always the next one. Once I retire, I'm going to look around. I'm going to take a real look at my career. I'm going to say, okay, this was the most important to me.
Will you get another UFC title tattooed on your arm?
Você vai fazer outro cinturão tatuado no seu braço?
Não, outro cinturão não, porque tem que... Cinturão é o seguinte, tatuagem é o seguinte, tem que ter um tempo fazer. E agora eu quero treinar. Mas o que eu posso fazer para facilitar isso, eu fazer só colocar assim 2 vezes, né? E escrever, mas outro cinturão não, dá muito trabalho. Esse aqui ainda nem terminei, falta mais uma sessão. Eu vou terminar essa sessão para ficar bonito, mas outro cinturão não.
Well, not another belt because, it takes a while and I'm training, so there's a lot of sessions and stuff, but to speed up the process, I might put ×2 on each side. But I don't even finish this belt that I have on my arm, but maybe I put ×2 just to speed up and go with it.
Eu posso colocar 2 pedrinhas, né? Não é uma defesa, mas aí é 2 cinturões. As pessoas vão saber.
Or you can put 2 little stones, 2 little jewels. Not so defensive, but people gonna know.
That's a good one. And I'm curious if you saw, Israel actually tweeted about right after your interview, he posted a photo of you knocked out with a wig from the movie Frozen, and he said, "Let it go." So I'm curious if you see this and do you have a response to him?
Depois que você fez sua entrevista no octógono, o Israel postou uma foto de você nocauteado com a peruca da menina do Frozen congelada e escreveu para você deixar para trás. que você tem a falar sobre isso? Ela ergou, tipo, tá passando, mano, larga isso aí, entendeu?
Não, mas foi bem respeitoso ali, entendeu? Eu falei da situação, né? Que, pô, esse foi um cara que me motivou, né? Me motivou. E é isso que eu falo, cara. É um talento, todo mundo sabe. Um cara que, pô, fez história também, pô, fez muitas defesas. Então, acho que as pessoas querem ver ele lutando, que ele continue lutando. E, pô, às vezes ele tá um pouco desmotivado, não sei o porquê, mas eu acho que eu sou uma boa motivação para ele estar dando esse show para essa galera, como ele sempre fez.
Well, regardless of what he say, I was respectful. I mean, when I say, you know what I mean, I give him a chance. I think he's not motivated. He doesn't seem motivated, and I think there's a fight that everybody would like to see. So try to boost him to come back.
Quick question for you. Actually, first of all, congratulations. You are easily the best MMA fighter here in the Garden. 3 years running, 3 wins in a row. They're going to hang a jersey of yours from the rafters next to Clyde Frazier if you keep this up. But my actual question is a more of a technique one. Your best success came with the kicks, low kicks, mid kicks, but you ended up winning with basically a shovel hook. Were you at all surprised with the kicks being a success or the knockout coming off of the hook?
Bom, primeiro que com tudo isso que você está fazendo aqui no Madison Square Garden, você é com certeza o melhor lutador de MMA que já esteve aqui. E daqui a pouco eles vão ter que colocar a sua camisa aqui já. E ele é um cara que preza muito a técnica. Ele viu que o caminho da vitória foram os chutes, mas o que impressionou mais foi aquele cruzado curto que você jogou. Te impressionou aquele cruzado?
Bom, para quem acompanha, né, minhas lutas, né, já meu trabalho, sempre assim, né, sempre nocauteio, assim, golpes fortes, cruzado. Geralmente é na curta, né? E, pô, tava ganhando a distância ali, machucando, jogando golpe, chute na perna, saindo da distância dele. E aí comecei a machucar ele bem. E, pô, ele tinha 2 opções, ou sair, correr ou entrar, né? Mais forte foi o que ele fez, né? Ele fez essa entrada aí com meio que um modo de sobreviver, né? E aí, pô, onde entrou os cruzados curtos.
Well, everybody that know how I fight, I go, you know, hurting my opponents little by little. And with this one was no different. So I put him on a point that he either had to start moving back or he had to start to moving forward. And that's what he did. Kind of rushed a little bit, almost more, you know what I mean, on survivor mode. So that's when he saw that he could catch him with the left hook.
Lex, over here in the front. So you've obviously accomplished a lot in this building. You've won your debut in the UFC here. Next year you win your first title. Next year, this night, you win your second title. What does this arena mean to you in your career? Do you have affection for it, or is it just another place?
Pô, tudo que você fez aqui no Madison Square Garden, ganhou tudo aqui. O que essa arena significa para você? Tem algo especial ou é só mais um lugar?
Minha casa agora. Eu tenho que ver quem que eu pego essa chave.
Well, it's my house here now. Just gotta see who do I get the key.
And when we be back at your house, do you hope it'll be next year? I know you don't have control over that, but is that something you'd like to do next November, come back here again?
Bom, já que aqui é sua casa, no próximo novembro, você gostaria de lutar aqui de novo?
Bom, agora me perguntaram, né, pô, eu tava no Brasil, pô, aqui é 1h30 dirigindo, né, até minha casa, onde eu tô morando, que é em Denver, Connecticut. Então, pô, aqui seria o melhor lugar para mim, né, para mim lutar. Mas, claro, pô, lutar pro povo brasileiro, né, onde tem uma popularidade assim de fãs, isso é fantástico, cara, poder fazer isso, levar isso para essa galera. Mas, pô, aqui acho que é o melhor lugar para mim, tô do lado de casa.
Well, like people just ask about me fighting in Brazil, right? I would love to fight over there, bring, you know what I mean, all this love to the fans, but realistically, this is only an hour and a half drive from me, you know what I mean? So if I could fight here, always is good.
Hey, Alex, in the back. I just wanted to ask, as somebody who also calls Danbury, Connecticut home, I just wanted to ask what it's been like to have the support of that community.
Sendo ele também uma pessoa que chama Denver de casa, o que significa para você estar representando aquela comunidade?
Representa muito, né? Significa muito, né? Porque é onde eu cheguei ali, né? Onde eu conheci o Glover e, pô, tem muitos brasileiros ali. E, pô, sempre as pessoas me trataram bem, né? Os treinos para mim ali era fundamental, né? Pô, quando eu cheguei ali, primeiro treino, e o Glover começou a me corrigir ali, né? E assim, treinando com outras pessoas, assim, amador, né? Pessoas lutando amador, com um peso menor do que o meu e, pô, me dando um trabalho assim, e às vezes me dando uma pressão. E eu falava assim, pô, esse lugar que eu tenho que ficar, né? É onde que eu vou ter um futuro, né? Se eu quero chegar aonde eu pensava naquele momento, né? Que era entrar no UFC, né? E me tornar campeão. Então, ele tem ótimas lembranças, né? E é onde eu, tive todo o suporte, né? Para conquistar tudo isso.
Well, since day one when I came to Denver, Glover was very receptive to me. Not only him, but everybody around there was very warm with me and started training over there. And find myself training sometimes. You know what I mean? Glover's a different guy. He put me to train sometimes with amateur guys, and I see how hard it is with his amateurs over there. So I realized that that's a place that can bring something different for me. It's a place that actually I stayed there. So I would like to be there.
Question from me. Congratulations on winning another championship. Compared to last year, where the volume was turned way up, and obviously there was a lot of trash talking between you and Israel. Was it more of a relaxing week, knowing that you were fighting someone that respected you, you respected him? Was it more relaxing, or what was the difference?
Pô, comparado com a semana de luta com a Desan, que tem aquela guerra psicológica, falando, né, provocando o outro e tudo aí, é melhor para você ter uma semana de luta como essa, que seu adversário te respeita e você respeita ele?
Não, com certeza. Eu estava até conversando ontem, com a minha equipe, daí falando ali na coletiva de imprensa, né, na press-conferência, né, como que tava assim a galera ali, todo mundo calado ali, sem ofender o outro, né, mas a gente conseguiu, né, até na encarada ali, mostrar que seria um show, que seria um mega evento, né, a gente não precisou ficar um ofendendo o outro, falando mal do outro, né, e as pessoas sentiram isso e, você viu aí como tava, né, a arena lotada.
No, since yesterday I was talking to my team, you know what I mean, how on the press conference, everybody was more composed, more quiet, but we say that like that's not going to matter because I know that this fight's going to sell good. And you saw today, you know what I mean, they're the full arena in a great fight.
And one more question for me. Obviously, you're holding the same belt that Glover Teixeira held, and I and a lot of people can consider you one of the greatest Brazilian fighters of all time and put you in the same vein as an Anderson Silva, Nogueira brothers, all the greatest. But are you ready to consider yourself and put yourself on a esteemed list?
Pô, muito legal você ver com o cinturão que já foi do Glover e ele te coloca ali, né, como maior lutador que já veio do Brasil, junto com o Anderson Silva e com o Minotauro, e você também se coloca nesse patamar?
So there it is. There you have it. The final presser of the night with Alex Pereira. Interesting that they brought up how Alex Pereira was able to win back the title that was held by his friend, which is Glover Teixeira. So, more on that. I believe that we're going to just call it from here. I'm going to make a reaction video out of this. Obviously, this is the live stream version of it. I did the main event live reaction and also went through the whole entire card and then listened to the whole entire presser on top of this whole entire content. So I'm going to make another content in a separate video talking about the controversy involved with the stoppage of this particular fight, because obviously a lot of people have a lot of things to say about it. Some are going to have differing opinions. Some believe that it was a justifiable stoppage. Some will say that it is for the safety of the fighters first, and the fighters never know what is good for them or when they need to stop. But either way, don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed the entire night of fights, because I did. Obviously, this is a hardcore fans fight night, pay-per-view and event more than anything that became somewhat of a casual mainstream draw. I mean, you had Donald Trump there tonight. You had Tucker Carlson, and then you had Donald Trump Jr. on top of that, obviously Don Jr. And then you had a whole bunch of other celebrities. You had Bill Burr there with his family. And then obviously, it's always a good night when Joe Rogan is on a commentary. So you can't complain. You had great fights. You had new superstars that were built out of it. And you were given exactly what you get out of combat sports every week, which is what? I say it over and over again, the theater of the unknown. So, guys, thank you once again for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we are signing off. And we will be back with more content in the next few hours, and the next few days, the next few months, and the next coming years, decades, and forever. Inshallah. Like and subscribe. Thank you. 49. Next round. 40 to 49. Next round. After witnessing that press conference at UFC 295, I think I have an opinion just like anybody else about the matter at hand, which was what? Lackluster. Not really the most exciting. On top of that, there were some things that Tom Aspinall said that was pretty cool. He said that he has a head that is a sniper's dream, which I thought was really interesting, considering that he just admitted he's got a big head, right? And if you have a big head, then I suppose it's a lot easier for a sniper to get in contact with you. So either way, not the best press conference that you're going to get. It wasn't Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor level, the type of stuff that they can produce. What you did get out of it, though, was understanding the fact that these guys are legitimate fighters. These guys are assassins. And all this other nonsense about everything else ultimately doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because by the end of the day, you still have to get in there and fight. So that's really the main storyline of this whole entire thing that we have to talk about, right? These guys are not exactly the biggest entertainers in the world, okay? They're not those types of guys. They're not the type of guys that go out there and roar to the crowd with their, let's say, excitement level or their enthusiasm or even their charisma to a certain degree. It's just not their specialty. You got a guy like Sergey Pavlovich who comes from Russia, and unfortunately, it's quite a stereotype, and maybe there's some truth to it, that humor isn't exactly the Russian strong suit. Now, if you want to disagree with that, write on the comments below. I think that the majority of the people that would comment on that particular topic at hand is they would say, yeah, it's not really their strong suit. So what do you expect from a guy like that? Alex Pereira, the same thing. What do you get out of him? He's a guy that has no facial expression. He can be in the scariest roller coaster in the world, but will remain like this. Straight face the entire time. So you're not going to get a lot out of these guys. So now